basic part of our finances is money. How much of rent can these 50 cities pay? How much transportation expenses can these 50 cities afford? How much medical care can these 50 cities pay for? Let me demonstrate with these 50 cities that I have in my hand. Are you aware that your finances are under the onslaught of an economic cancer? Are you aware that there is a cancer which does not affect the human body but our finances and our pockets? Well, in this video, I will do well to bring to bear that economic cancer, and I'm talking about none other than inflation. Yes, inflation is cancerous and we need to be aware of it and fight it. I'll try to draw an analogy between how the disease cancer affects our body and how inflation also affects our finances. Let's begin by looking at the basic part of life. According to biological science, the basic part of life is the cell. Yes, our body is composed of trillions of cells. Every single organ in our body is made up of cells, each performing specific functions. Let's look at the basic structure of the cell. How does the cell look? Essentially, the cell is made up of two parts. We have the outer layer and the inner layer. The outer layer has so many parts, including the cell membrane, the cytosol, and so many other parts. We then have the inner part of it, which is essentially made up of the nucleus. And in the nucleus is what we call the DNA, containing the basic instructions for the effective functioning of the cell. So we can say that the nucleus, or the inner part of the cell, which is the nucleus, is the powerhouse of the cell, because without it, the cell cannot function. We know that when cancer strikes, it affects the DNA, causing it to malfunction, essentially reducing its performance. And if it is not controlled, it practically renders the cell dead. Similar to the cell, the basic part of our finances is money. Yes, money is the basic part of our finances. Whether we succeed financially or we struggle in our finances, all depends on how much money we have. The more money we are able to accumulate and manage responsibly, the more likely we are to achieve financial independence. And the reverse is the case. If we have less money, then the tendency for us not to do well in our finances is very high. Let's also look at the basic structure of money. Yes, money also has a structure just like the cell. The structure of money can also be categorized into two parts. We can have the extrinsic part of it and the intrinsic part of it. What is the extrinsic part of money? Let me demonstrate with these 50 cedis that I have in my hand. As you can see, the extrinsic parts of money, of these 50 cedis, are made up of so many features. We have the 50 cedi notes written down here. We have the big six. This is the picture of the 6 founding fathers of the Republic of Ghana. We then have the coat of arms, beautifully illustrated here. We also have the cocoa pod, the golden pod is also found here. These are the external features of these 50 cedis, constituting the extrinsic part of it. Now, what is the intrinsic part of these 50 cedis? The intrinsic part of these 50 cedis is largely the value. The value. What is value? What is the value of these 50 cedis? Value simply is defined by the quantity of goods and services money can buy. For instance, how much goods and services these 50 cedis can buy defines its value, gives it life. How much of rent can this 50 cedis pay? How much transportation expenses can this 50 cedis afford? How much medical care can this 50 cedis pay for? Now, just as cancer affects the DNA and destroys the cell, inflation also affects value, reducing the value of money and eventually rendering that money worthless or lifeless. Let's briefly look at inflation itself. What is inflation? What does it mean? In very simple terms, inflation is nothing but an economic situation in a country where goods and services are experiencing rising prices in a very consistent manner over a period of time. So, and essentially it has to do with consumer prices. These are goods and services that we use on a daily basis for our well-being. If their prices are increasing consistently over a period of time, then we can say there's inflation. Notice that inflation is simply price increase. Now, as the price increases, the value of money is attacked. The value of money is reduced. The quantity of goods and services that money can buy reduces. Now, let's demonstrate with this 50 cedis. Assuming the price of a television set is 10 cedis. Yes, very affordable. 10 cedis for a price of television. If it is 10 cedis, then you can actually buy 5 television sets with the 50 cedis. Meaning the value of the 50 cedis is the 5 sets of television you can buy. If inflation is not controlled and the price increases from 10 cedis to 25 cedis, then with the same 50 cedis, you can buy only 2 sets of television instead of 5 when the price was 10. Now let's see where the money is rendered lifeless. If the price increases from 25 cedis to 51 cedis, then if you take these 50 cedis to the market, you will not be able to come home with any television set. You will buy 0 television sets. It means that this 50 cedis is practically dead. It has been killed by inflation. Now, around the year 2000 and 2008, the country Zimbabwe faced the worst form of hyperinflation, with prices doubling almost every day. Money practically became dead in that country and people were not motivated to hold it. So inflation is actually cancerous. It's an economic cancer. And we need to get to know it and take every practical steps to fight it in order to safeguard the life of the money that we have. It is very, very important. And with the knowledge of how it operates, then we will be able to identify the solutions to it.